What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Extra 8 Hours podcast show YouTube series. And today I'm going to be making another video, and I'm going to be talking about the mild technique, and I'm going to talk about how you can combine that with another technique called the wake back to bed method, okay? And this is probably one of the most basic ways you can have a lucid dream. This is probably the most effective way you can have a lucid dream, other than being, constantly aware and practicing meditation every day. But, regardless, this is still a really, really good lucid dreaming induction technique. So I'm going to start with the mild, and many of you probably have heard of all kinds of different lucid dreaming techniques. So you probably heard of mild, wild, filed, siled, dialed, all sorts of other ones. Mild, in my opinion, of the ones I just named, is by far one of the simplest. Not only that, it's also one of the most effective, especially if you're a new lucid dreamer. Now, don't let me confuse you here. I'm not saying that mild is the best. I'm just saying it's one of the easiest in my experience. For everybody, there's a different technique that works best for you, but I would highly suggest trying the mild technique because there's a lot of advantages to it. Now, let's start with how do you do the mild technique? So mild stands for mnemonic-induced lucid dreams, right? So the real word that we have to focus on here is mnemonic. And what that means is you're going to have to repeat something to you. You're going to have to repeat some sort of mantra to yourself as you fall asleep, and that's going to help you induce your lucid dream. So let me walk you through the process of how you're doing. I'm going to use myself as an example of what I would be doing. So let's pretend that this chair I'm sitting in here is my bed in my lovely room here, and I'm going to bed right now. How you have a lucid dream using the mild technique is lay down, okay, that's the beginning, and then I'm laying down, I'm going to go to sleep, and simply repeat a little mantra to yourself as you fall asleep. Now, you can make the mantra whatever you want, but the general message of the mantra has to be that you're going to have a lucid dream tonight. So, to give you an example of a mantra that I would use, I'd be laying here in my bed sleeping, and I would say, I am going to have a lucid dream tonight. I am going to have a lucid dream tonight. I am going to have a lucid dream tonight. And then from there, you're going to go fall asleep and hopefully carry your intentions to your dream. So that way there, once you hopefully have good dream recall at this point, once you realize you're in a dream, or once you get put into a dream, you're going to realize that you are in a dream because you just went to sleep with the intentions to have a lucid dream, right? Basically what's happening is this mantra that you're repeating to yourself over and over and over is ingraining, this message into your subconscious mind, into your mind, so that once you hit the dream, you're going to be remembering the fact that as you went to sleep tonight, you had the intention to have a lucid dream. So now you're in a dream, and now you're going to realize you're in a dream, and boom, you're lucid. Now, in terms of timing, some people debate about this. You can do the mnemonic-induced lucid dream. You can do the mild technique as soon as you go to sleep at night. So if say you go to bed at 8 p.m., you can try the mild technique at 8 p.m. and it will work, all right? If you do it long enough, it will work. It's a good technique. Now, what people typically do is to typically say that you can't do it and you need to do what's called the wake back to bed method, okay? So what is the wake back to bed method? So oftentimes if you YouTube any sort of mild technique, and I suggest you do look at a few of them just so you get a better understanding. But if you YouTube any sort of mild technique, a lot of people will say that to do the mild technique, you have to go to bed, say you go to sleep at 8 p.m. and wake up 7.5 hours later, and then go right back to bed. And this is something that is called the wake back to bed method, and it's much more effective. It's true. I think it increases the chances. I don't remember the exact number, but it was multiple times more effective if you use the wake back to bed method with the mild technique. However, again, like I said before, not all lucid dreaming techniques are for everybody, and the wake back to bed method is not a technique that everybody should use. But let me first explain what is the wake back to bed method. So when we go to sleep every night, we sleep in cycles. Okay, you've probably heard of this, where you have a sleep cycle. There's deep sleep, light sleep, REM sleep, and I think there might be one more. I forget the name. But really the only sleep cycle that we need to focus on is REM sleep. All right, it stands for rapid eye movement, and this is a stage of sleep where we're dreaming. Okay, this is a stage of sleep where there's a lot of brain activity firing on, and scientists were like, what the fuck's going on? Well, what was going on is we were having dreams. And our goal with the wake back to bed method is to wake up during the REM cycle and then go right back to sleep consciously So you can kind of, if you know what I mean, you can wake up, you're awake now, and then as soon as you go back to sleep, you're going to enter right into that REM cycle. You're going to enter right into a dream, and then that way there you can carry your attentions a little bit easier and have a lucid dream. So the way you do that, there's specific ways you have to, there's a specific intervals of time where you can wake up, because we don't have REM cycles randomly. Our sleep cycle happens in a pretty regular interval. And now I just want to preface this with saying, not everybody's sleep cycle is the same. So if you have a sleep cycle that lasts you 120 minutes, and I might have a sleep cycle that lasts me 80 minutes. Now the average sleep cycle is about 90 minutes. So that's an hour and a half. What I would suggest is to test it out to find out how long your sleep cycles is. Sleep cycles are. I wouldn't suggest using any of those apps on your phone, although I've heard that some people say they work. If you really want to test it, I know what I've heard. What works the best is putting it around your wrist, or this. I don't know. I actually don't know which one works the best. But regardless, typically 90-minute interval is what works. It worked for me. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to wake yourself up in one of these 90-minute intervals to perform the wake back to bed method. So these intervals that most people typically use are either 3 hours after you fall asleep initially. So if you go to sleep at 8, you're waking yourself at 11, 4.5 hours, and 6 hours. After that, it's 7.5 hours. Generally speaking, most people find that they're not sleepy at 7.5 hours, and it's hard to go back to sleep. So how you combine it with the wake back to bed method with the mile technique is you wake up about 4.5 hours after you go to sleep, and then try to go right back to bed while doing the mile technique that I told you before. So as soon as you wake up, go back to sleep, try to repeat yourself, I'm going to have a lucid dream, I'm going to have a lucid dream, I'm going to have a lucid dream. Try to stay somewhat conscious as you drift back to sleep. And then hopefully, you'll enter a dream, and then you'll just be kind of conscious. Let me think here. So a few questions people ask, when you wake up 4.5 hours after you fall asleep initially, it's best not to do too much activity. You want to be able to fall back asleep somewhat fast, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're getting up and, going for a run or going on your phone with the screen in your eyes, generally it's not a good thing, because the blue light will keep you awake. I think it suppresses melatonin, so that's what's going on there. And again, obviously going for a run, it's a very vigorous activity. It's pretty obvious why that's not going to be good if you're trying to go back to sleep in the next 5 minutes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So just to recap really quickly so you understand, use the mile technique. Basically, as you fall asleep, repeat to yourself that you have the intention to have a lucid dream during this next sleep. And then if you want to combine that with the wake back to bed method, wake up in an interval of either 4.5, maybe 6 hours, and then go right back to sleep and try the mile technique as you go back to sleep. And that will greatly increase the chances of you having a lucid dream. And that's about it. If you made it this far, leave a question. If you have any questions down below, I try to answer any question. So have a good day. And I'm getting really close now because I'm turning off the camera.